Buchigiri might be the gayest straight show I have ever watched. What do I mean by that, you might ask? Come with me while I take you on a journey of self-discovery. Naked men in a swim club, naked men in a skate club. Finally, ending on one of the most promising yet strangest shows MAPPA has ever released. Warning, watching any further beyond this point might increase your desire to suck peen by 20%. You have been warned. Buchigiri was created by a woman named Hiroko Utsumi. She's most famous for directing a show called Free. This show was also one of the big reasons behind the glow-up of fan service for women. They had men with absolutely shredded bodies creating a swim team. Though I haven't watched the show, it's pretty obvious I'm not the target demographic. This anime was made to appeal towards the female gaze, similarly to that of ecchi shows appealing to the male gaze. Hiroko Utsumi proved there was a market for these shows created for women to drip over. I'm sure if you were watching anime at this time, you would have even been able to recognize this series. It blew up in the sports anime genre almost entirely on its woman-focused fan service. Reminds me of those boy bands designed to appeal to teen girls. And it worked. There are like 3 to 4 seasons, 4 movies if you count recap movies, and an OST. I think it's safe to say that this show was a massive success. She also directed another show animated by MAPPA named Skate the Infinite, another show I haven't seen but one that holds more promise for me to actually enjoy than the last one. Skate is also another sports-esque anime involving skateboards, if the name wasn't a dead giveaway already. You know, I've never been a big skateboard guy in the past, but I'm willing to try any show out if it looks fun enough. As long as there isn't a homoerotic clip involving 2 men making me question my sexuality, then I think we'll be all good.
Keep your eyes on me.
A couple of other works Utsume has worked on are The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, Clannad, K-On!, and Love, Chinbuya, and Other Delusions. These aren't all shows expressing massive fan service, but most, if not all of them, are relationship focused, meaning the majority of the anime is focused on the relationship between characters. From what I've seen online, that is also what Skate the Infinite and Free have in common with one another. But let's not get carried away with what other people are claiming. How about we look at the first 2 episodes of Buchigiri and see what this anime is all about. Buchigiri starts with, and I'm not going to lie here, one of the hottest openings I've heard in a hot minute. Where Jujutsu Kaisen's opening sets the moods perfectly for the oncoming slaughter fest known as the Shibuya Incident arc, Buchigiri hits us with something similar yet completely different. The opening starts with dramatic poses akin to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, only for the sun to transport us to the present day. The entire OP is filled with great animation, funny poses, and Kill la Kill-esque scenes. This is also brought together with a song that I've absolutely been obsessed with for the last now that I'm recording this, 4 weeks. It hits so hard, I'd recommend anyone to give this OP a watch. Even if you don't like the anime, there's a good chance that you will at least agree with me on how fire this song is. The anime follows a high schooler named Arin Tomoshibi. He enjoys a school filled with delinquents galore, wanting only to find himself a hot babe. After joining his first class, he finds a diamond in a sea of coal, a girl named Mahoru. At the same time, a few students tried messing with Arin, so he dashes away, only to literally run into an old friend named Matakara. Matakara is a member of a gang named Minatokai, whose philosophy is the pursuit of a Honkai person. What are the Honkai people, you might be asking? Well, I have absolutely no idea. I got the gist that Honkai people are those pursuing the abilities of a perfect fighter, but the logistics of that are a bit foggy. I'll even show you exactly what they said, but even this is not much to go off of. That's not really important per se, but what is important is the small backstory we get about Arin. When Arin and Matakara were children, they were training to become Honkai people. They trained day after day with one another in pursuit of this dream. This was till Arin found Matakara being bullied by high schoolers. It is also where Arin's anxiety first formed. He was too afraid to help Matakara, so he just left him there. To Arin, Matakara is no more than a reminder of this moment, so instead of embracing this feeling of regret, he runs from it. Arjun pushes past Madara and finds Mahoro at the roof of the building. This is when the episode really starts jumping around a bit, so stay with me here. We see Madara talking with Zabu and Komeo about how cool and honorable Arjun really is. Then we cut to Arjun purchasing a stone from a store. Zabu and Komeo corner him and lead him to an arcade to see just how cool Arjun really is. Arjun gets jumped by another faction named NG Boys. They chase him to an abandoned shrine and he ends up popping himself in the head with a musket. That's where we get this beautifully animated scene. It's also the scene where we meet a genie named Senya. Senya asks Arjun what he wishes for and he replies, "I want to lose my virginity." So Senya, the absolute gentleman that he is, offers to help him out, homie style.
I see you don't have a lifeguard here at your beach.
I'm not at the beach, this is a bathtub.
Now Arjun has a personification of his desire to rail other men, constantly following him around. How perfect. Let's skip forward a bit. Arjun carves Mahoro's name into the stone as a symbol of love. He hands the stone to her and confesses his love for her, only for her brother to show up. And surprise, surprise, her brother is Mahorito, the leader of the Siguma group. Arjun uses the power of Horny to combine with Senya and punch Mahorito, sending him flying. Already in the first episode, we can see some promising stuff. The character designs are memorable and reminiscent of Yu Yu Hakusho designs. The art style is fluid and open to changing drastically in order to further a comedic point. The punch at the end as well as the tornado scene shows the kind of animation quality they are able to produce for important scenes. The one gripe I have about episode 1 is the pacing. It felt a bit too jumpy and fast for my liking. But you can look at it as the first episode struggle. They were trying to give you the basis of the anime all wrapped up into one episode, so they ended up having a speed through several scenes to get to that setup. It's not okay per se, but understandable. Before we jump into episode 2, the Gay Boogaloo, let's talk about some of the other people creating buchigiri. For example, Takahiro Kagami, the person who worked on the character designs for buchigiri, is also known for working on the character designs for some Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. The series composer, Taku Kishimoto, is known for working on some great shows like Blue Lock, Ranking of Kings, and Haiku, and even Fruit Basket. You can see now the lineup for this series is stacked, resulting in buchigiri. Speaking of which, episode 2 is where the sussy baka gets pretty intense. We have Arjun having a tattoo forming on his tailbone, reminiscent of a crotch tattoo for completely family-friendly material. We also have Mahorito thirsting over Arjun, followed by the leader of Minato-kai thirsting over Arjun, followed by Senya begging to combine like it's some sort of climactic experience for him. It's pretty crazy looking at episode 1, then back to episode 2 and seeing just a massive underlying sexual tension between Arjun and the other gang leaders instantly forming after he punches them. It was such a large shift that it made me think that Arjun's want to lose his virginity before combining with Senya is what caused it to happen. Do I know whether or not I'm right? Well, no. Still baking that theory up. I'll tell you if it comes out crispy brown or raw. Something that I haven't brought up yet are some of the background characters they have in this show. The most notable one being Arjun's mother. I love her so much. She has so much character. She just captures every scene she's in. It's the only time I've seen the mother role in an anime done like this, and I'm loving every second of it. Another background character is the poor teacher. He's quiet and nervous in all the scenes he's in. We haven't seen a lot of him, so he's still pretty forgettable, but one trope they keep playing into is him accidentally finding himself in a brothel. We haven't actually seen the girl he visits, but I'm sure this will come up later and fill out his character a little bit more. One thing I'd like to go more in depth with is Arjun's confusing relationship with Madara. Anytime Arjun is forced into speaking with Madara, he comes off as cold and distant. He always tries pushing past Madara and getting out of the situation as quickly as possible. A lot of the audience, at least in the comment section of Crunchyroll, finds this very annoying. They hate the main character because of his treatment towards Madara. I'm not going to say that this hate isn't justified, but what I can do is elaborate on the reasons behind Arjun's actions. Anytime Arjun sees Madara, he is brought back to that moment he watches Madara get bullied. Madara is no longer seen as a friend to Arjun, but instead seen as a reminder of his own cowardice. Arjun made Madara not into a person, but into a symbol embodying his own cowardice. I believe there will come a moment when Arjun faces his past. He will no longer run from it and instead confront Madara with everything he's been bottling up. All of the self-hate and neglect he's shown Madara because of the actions he refused to take will come spilling out, and only by confronting them can he actually look his best friend in the eyes. I don't believe this will come anytime soon, but will instead reveal itself after delving even further into neglect. We've already seen Arjun put a horrible woman above his boy just for the chance at some coochie, but I believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg. He will continue to ignore Madara and push him away, and the audience will continue to hate Arjun more and more. But until Arjun can actually think with anything other than his peen, this trend will continue. Which brings us into another problem with the main character. Arjun is absolutely obsessed with Mahoro to the point of becoming detrimental to his character. After she broke the Forever Stone in front of him, that should have been a world-shattering event. But instead, it's not even a moment that really leaves any weight behind it. Yeah, Arjun sulks about it for a little bit, but other than that, he's immediately back to obsessing over her. I know this show doesn't take itself seriously at all and is more of just a feels-good anime, but I wish Arjun had more than 2 brain cells. One character it feels like they are trying to have Arjun mirror is Denji from Chinese Man. Why was I going to say that? One character it feels like they are trying to have Arjun mirror is Denji from Chainsaw Man. They both have that dumb one-track mind sort of feel, and both are chasing after an absolute baddie. The thing that separates the two is Madara. In Chainsaw Man, Denji is driven entirely by the power of the coochie, but in buchigiri they attempt to have the same pull but with a weaker female character. If Mahoru didn't reveal she was a playgirl from the very beginning, then the story would be way better. What makes this even worse is that our reasonable expectations for Arjun would be that he would come to this same conclusion, but he doesn't. It's something so obvious and out in the open to everybody who watches this show that it only irritates the audience the longer it goes unnoticed by Arjun. What makes this even worse is that they put Madara in the middle of it, meaning us seeing Arjun being manipulated by this blatant playgirl only causes an exponential hatred for him the more his manipulation affects his relationship with Madara. The only reasonable comparison I can come up with is being forced to watch a child try to fit a square block into a round hole. But each time he fails to do it, somebody comes in and slaps his friend in the face. Oh, is he about to figure out the square block fits in the square hole? Well, Miss Teacher Mahoro begs to differ. She came with a 5-hour lecture of why he should continue being an idiot. It is a level of frustration towards the main character of which I haven't seen in quite a long time. It's very impressive actually. But other than that, the show is quite good. I rate it about an 8 with the possibility of it changing levels depending on where the story goes. Thank you guys for coming and watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, Johnny.
That Arjun bussy goes hard.